going to talk about why I think science fiction is cool. I like movies a lot. I also wanted to take this time, I guess, to discuss exactly why I like science fiction movies. I wanted to focus on two topics. Well, I guess two divisions of science fiction, and I guess like the Sci-Fi Channel definition of science fiction. You know, they've got the horror, the paranormal. They've got fantasy, which is kind of like a magical quality to the plot. So all these divisions of science fiction that I don't really consider science fiction. And so I would like to pose, I guess, the mainstream definition of science fiction, and that would be anything that deals with extraterrestrial life, spacecraft, alien worlds, and futuristic engineering. What does science fiction represent to all of us? I'm sure we enjoy science fiction, and what science fiction represents to me is, I guess, first is, of course, you've got the great action, you've got the cool gadgets, you've got also a deeper meaning that I think you can take away from it, and that would be political, sociological, and examinations of the human condition. And I think those meanings to the movies drive the plot and what really impress upon us in the movies. I think, you know, the gadgets and everything else in the action is great, but it's the plot, the personalities, and everything that you can take away from the movie. And for books, I guess books are what drive science fiction movies, and I wanted to talk about that first before I go further. I wanted to discuss some of the main books that I would like to mention that have influenced me. I'm sure everybody has their favorites, but science fiction books make great movies, and that's just, it all starts out in books, and it turns into storylines, it turns into screenplay, and it turns into a great movie. And that's just the way it works. Like, the ideas, they come from the books first. And I would like to just mention, I guess, the Star Trek canon, which I think is kind of like the Bible for all the Trekkies, I guess. I'm not a big, I can't say that I've read many of the books here, but I appreciate how they affect the movies. And the Star Trek canon, you know, it's written into the TV series, all the movies, and it's a great look at, you know, futuristic spacecraft, alien civilizations, and how we as humans interact with that. Also, I'd like to talk about another one, Contact, which is a great movie. Started out as a book. Carl Sagan turned into a Robert Zemeckis film. And Contact, Jodie Foster played the main role. She did a great job in that. Very, very good movie, but started out as a book. Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park, turned into a movie by Steven Spielberg. Starts off with a great idea of DNA of a dinosaur trapped in amber that's millions of years old. And it poses the question, could you create a living thing from genetic material that's trapped in amber? Why not? That's the big question there, and it caused great debate among leading scientists in the genetic engineering world. I mean, if it can cause a debate among these people, it's a very good premise for a movie. So basically, I just wanted to say, great science fiction books provide great plots for movies. And 4 movies that I wanted to discuss: Solaris, Aliens, District 9, and The Abyss. So try to get through these quickly. Solaris, Steve Soderbergh film, made in 2002. It's kind of, I guess, an exception to what I was saying earlier. It's kind of a horror subplot, but anybody that's seen Solaris, it's a very scary movie, but it also has a very science fiction premise to it. George Clooney is a psychiatrist that gets a message from his friend who tells him that they're all experiencing paranormal, weird type of stuff on the space station. So as a psychiatrist, it's his job to go to that space station and take care of the fellow members. So when he gets there, the friend that sent him the message has committed suicide. So very dark premise, but the crew members are all seeing the son that's dead, and it's the doctor that's committed suicide. It's her son. So anyway, it's a very dark movie, but basically the take home, well, I guess, you know, other people are experiencing manifestations of physical forms that are familiar to them, and so this Solaris planet is basically interacting and communicating with the fellow members on board, and it's has a huge philosophical, sociological underpinnings to the movie. But just wanted, I guess the takeaway that I wanted to discuss is that you know, there's not much gadgets or cool action in this movie, but the big questions that we have to ask ourselves from this movie is what happens to people when they die, and if alien life exists, will it be in a form that's familiar to us? And so I guess the Solaris movie, it you know, it's based on a book, 1961 book, so it has a lot of thought is invested into this movie, and so this alien life is not your typical, it's not your typical human form, communion, cover of communion book or anything like that, but it's like you know, alien life that's very different, and it's pretty cool. One of my favorite movies. So also I wanted to talk about Aliens with James Cameron, 1986, great action, cool gadgets, kind of your run-of-the-mill science fiction movie. It's you know, background is a follow-up to the 1979 film Alien. You know, James Cameron was given the reins to this Alien franchise and did the Aliens 1986 film, and you know, he is following up on his Terminator 1984 success, and so he kind of had a lot of reign to do what he wanted to with that movie. And the plot, you know, Ripley wakes up 50 years after being in a cryogenic freeze from 1979 film Alien, and the people didn't take her advice about staying away from this particular alien species, and so they sent, you know, they tried to colonize the planet that she said stay away from. So basically, it sets the premise for, you know, all this stuff to go down. And anyway, a lot of takeaways from this movie. Of course, you got the cool gadget, the exoskeleton, the mover that Ripley uses to move things around, and you know, you've got, you know, that the Army's developing that now, this type of stuff. You've got the Iron Man suit. Well, that was a comic back in the 60s, so it's kind of hard to tell whether that's art imitating life or vice versa. But some of the deeper meanings that you can take away from this movie is an examination of the human condition. Is AI and robots, can you trust them? And so that's a big question. And Ripley had a bad experience in the 1979 film, and you know, she comes away with being able to trust the bishop, and she is able to trust something that she doesn't fully understand, and that's a big takeaway from that movie. District 9 is another movie that's one of my favorites. Made in 2009, and it you know, examines a spaceship that centers over Johannesburg, South Africa, and of course you've got the whole apartheid separation of black and white, the sociology question there, and you really have to get to the mind of the main character, who's asked to escort the aliens out of District 9, and you know, he's asked to help them, to evict them from where they are. And so it really examines the sociological problem that South Africa was dealing with at the time, and a great movie with a lot of takeaway. The last movie, The Abyss, 1989 film, I wanted to just talk about, you know, that is a great movie, another movie by James Cameron. It's, you know, it takes a look at the underwater aliens and how they interact with the humans. And it kind of asks the question of, you know, how do we all react when we're encountering something foreign? And Bud, the main character, and Lindsay, kind of different types of people. Lindsay's really hard-headed and very knows what she believes and is inflexible to change, and what anything that's different, she's not going to accept it. And Bud embraces the foreign, and you know, he, you know, of course, plunges himself into the abyss and embraces what's you know, unfamiliar to him. He's very accepting of taking that leap of faith. But anyway, I wish I had done a little bit better with my time control here. But anyway, I just wanted to, you know, tell you why I think science fiction is cool, and I think there's more than just great action and cool gadgets, and I think there's a lot of you know, political, sociological, and this humanitarian meaning that we can take away from all these films. Thank you.